Welcome to this Price a Job tutorial. In this video, we'll discuss the Aco Channel module in Price a Job. To access the Aco module, we'll select the Drainage category under the Module toolbar and select Aco Channels, and create the module. And let's expand our sketch pane to full screen to get a better view. First, we'll start by specifying the length of our channel, in this case 30 meters. We have options to select either partially recessed or fully recessed. The partially recessed calculation is useful if you'll be using block paving to add an extra layer on top so that it's nicely finished. Next, we can specify the excavation depth and width, and this will depend on your specifications. In this case, we'll specify 400 millimeters wide. We can also set the bed depth, the haunch height, and the channel width. And you'll note that as we select the various dimensions that they are indicated on the sketch pane as a helpful indicator of which dimension the component is referring to. Next, we can specify the trench excavation method, whether this is to be done by hand or machine. If machine, we can select the machine type, and under the cog settings, we can view the productivity in cubic meters per hour, the delivery and collection cost, excluding VAT, and the fuel consumption in liters per hour. These are all taken from the Price a Job library, and if we wish to override any of these depending on our supplier or circumstance, we can do so. Now you'll notice as we switch between hand and machine that the pricing for these two methods is almost the same. And this is because we have selected a rather long channel. If we change the channel size to only 5 meters, we'll see that the cost of excavation becomes much cheaper to be done by hand as opposed to machine. And if we look at our estimate, we can see that a large reason for this is that the excavator also carries with it a delivery and collection cost. So we'll keep the excavator. Next, there's the disposal of soil to be considered, and Price a Job automatically calculates the volume of soil to be removed. We can select whether this is to be done by hand, with a wheelbarrow, or by machine. Or, if the soil is simply going to be disposed of on site, we can deselect this stage, and it's removed from our estimate. Next, we'll consider the bedding. And here we have options to choose whether this is to be done with ready mix, and we can choose the grade of mix, whether this is to be mixed on site, and we can input the ratio, or whether it's to be done with a concrete pump. And this would be the most expensive of the options, as a pump usually costs at least £450 plus VAT. If we're using the ready mix, we would have to pay a partial load charge because the quantity required is below the minimum load. And we can see this here in our price estimate. Here's the concrete part load charge. If we need to view the minimum load or change the partial load charge, we can do that under the cog settings, and here we can see the minimum load and partial load charge taken directly from the library. If our supplier is different, we can modify that as necessary. And that is updated here in the estimate. You'll notice that although we set the load charge at £75, whereas here in the estimate pane, this includes VAT and profit. If we need to view our pricing settings, we can do that here under the settings cog, and we can see that we are registered for VAT, so that has not been added into our estimate. However, we are including 20% profit on all of our material, labor, and plant and tool. If we were to hide the profit from our estimate, then we would see that the part load charge reverts back to £75. By adding our profit in, we can see that we have a 20% markup on that. If we choose to mix our bedding on site, we can choose mix on site. We can select the cement to aggregate mix ratio of either 1:3, 1:4, 1:6, or custom. In this case, we'll use a standard of either 1:4 or 1:6. Next, we can input the actual channels required. Price a Job has automatically added 5 1-meter galvanized channels to this project. However, we can change that to either plastic, galvanized, nylon, or the much more expensive ductile. Ductile channels have a dramatic price difference, sometimes as much as triple. In this case, we'll stick with the galvanized. Next, if we have any additional pipes or fittings that we want to add, we can do that by selecting from the library, choosing our pipe size from 110, 160, or 200 mil, and then choosing the adapters, rodding access, bends, etc. that we may require. In this case, we'll add a rodding point. And let's say we need 2 of those. We'll adjust the quantity here. and our description is automatically updated to show the specifications of the job and the parts and labor required. Lastly, we'll update the title of this module for Garage. And this will differentiate this module from any other Aco channel modules that we need to create. And that's how to use the Aco module. Thank you for using Price a Job.